Hello, dear friends. Planetary transition is the largest event in history and also the most chaotic. Opinion piece: controlled chaos, dubious ethics, political unrest, permanent war to maintain power. The end does not justify the means. Transition between the old and the new world. The most dangerous moment for humankind. Millionaires prepare for Judgment Day. Let's start. The idea that governments can use controlled chaos to maintain power is not new, because it has been raised by various scholars and commentators over the years, and reflects distrust of government institutions. According to John and Nisha Whitehead, in quotes, almost all tyranny occurs as a result of some threat manufactured by the government itself. The notion of a controlled chaos strategy is a concept that has been addressed by several analysts and academics in the field of international relations and geopolitics. The fundamental idea is that by causing a certain level of chaos, an actor can manipulate and control the situation according to his own interests. This theory could be accurate to interpret what is happening in the world, but its ethics are dubious because the end does not justify the means. Strategy: chaos is caused by at one point and then controlled, so that one decides when this chaos ends. The chaos, the scenario of permanent war and territorial fragmentation, do not respond to random causes, says UNED political scientist Nathaniel Armanian. Chaos, therefore, becomes an element of dominance that can be prolonged or shortened as desired. The objective is for the war to be prolonged and for the enemies to bleed each other in small wars. Armanian maintains that chaos, the scenario of permanent war and territorial fragmentation, are not random, but are elements planned and used as tools of domination. According to this perspective, the objective would be to prolong war conflicts to weaken enemies and allow them to bleed into smaller internal disputes. This theory highlights the idea that chaos is not always a random or natural phenomenon, but can be strategically induced and manipulated to achieve certain political or strategic geostrategic ends. Stephen P. Mann talks about the need to use, in quotes, controlled chaos to secure and promote political interests. Mann formulates his theory in a magazine in order to apply it on the practical level of power and diplomatic relations. In quotes, the international environment is an excellent example of a chaotic system with a critical self-organizing character. For Mann, the world is hopelessly chaotic as a consequence of something obvious: the many human actors in politics with different goals and values. Definition: the term controlled chaos suggests the idea of intentionally managing or directing chaotic situations to achieve certain political objectives. In the international arena, when numerous actors with different interests and values participate, some theorists could argue that the introduction of certain chaotic or unpredictable elements could be a strategy to influence events in favor of certain objectives. Other manipulation strategies are divide and conquer, the manipulation of information, selective repression, the neutralization of opposition leaders, the control of key institutions by destroying the separation of powers, the promotion of apathy among the population, and creating distractions or circus shows to divert attention. However, it is important to note that applying chaos-based strategies carries significant risks and can have unforeseen consequences, especially now when many secrets are coming to light. Furthermore, the ethics and legality of such approaches would also be a matter of debate. Architecture: controlled chaos is also the basis of deconstructivism, an architectural movement characterized by controlled chaos that is used to distort and dislocate some of the elementary principles of architecture, such as the structure and the building envelope. Deconstructivism shares the idea of controlled chaos, in that it uses seemingly chaotic and disordered elements in a deliberate and controlled manner to achieve aesthetic and conceptual impact. This approach can also be interpreted as a response to the rigidity of traditional structures and search for new forms of architectural expression. Geopolitics. According to Maria Celi Reina, 2023 has been a year in which the path towards a multipolar world has been strengthened. The new BRICS Plus has 10 members. Iran, Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, Egypt, and Ethiopia joined. That is, Western Asia and Northeastern Africa enter the scene. And most of them are key countries with energy resources. With the current configuration, the BRICS represent just over 30% of global GDP. In the transition between the old and the new world is when monsters are born. It is the most dangerous moment for humankind. If we survive, future historians will remember this period as the end of the era of divide and rule, politics, and the beginning of the era of win-win cooperation. According to Tom Luongo, we have a political upheaval in the West that we haven't seen since 1860s. In his view, Davos would rather burn the world to the ground than give up his control over it. History says that people always beat systems as they overcome their fear and work away with a purpose. He believes that the EU is the model of the most perfect technocratic union. It was built on many of the ideas put into practice in 20th century, China and the Soviet Union. Globalism is not just an idea. It is a religion and a process that wants to be applied methodically over time. This is a multi-generational thing. It doesn't mean that anyone is actually in charge of anything. It means that there are people pulling levers as if they are in charge of everything. Hungary is out of the fold and takes control of the European Council presidency in July. The Netherlands held massive farmer protests that ended in snap elections, and the Green Freedom Party of Europe won. The European parliamentary elections probably won't change anything, but what is happening in Germany is the key to seeing what comes next, because the EU is based on the idea of a Germany willing to lead the Union. His current coalition government is difficult to manage. German truckers joined farmers during a week of protests over a government plan to scrap diesel tax relief. Britons opt for the cold as worries about bills persist. According to Ben Pyle, in the UK, councils are planning our incarceration step by step. All of this is in quote. 160 local authorities have pledged to exceed the government's 2050 target without consulting voters. They have become autocratic. People must free to choose their own destiny and make their own decisions. Dictatorships only serve dictators. Europe. The European Central Bank warns that the Eurozone is heading towards the new recession. Archbishop Vigano asked the Swiss God to arrest heretics in the Vatican. He believes that the Freemasons have achieved their objective in infiltrating the church from within. Spanish agriculture faces an existential risk. Curious. Year of the new normal according to Hofgarten. At the end of the year, we will see the multipolar or multilateral world. Because of AI, most online services will require some form of digital proof of humanity. Many countries will sell lab-grown meat. There are still natural earthquakes that can be seen as karmic, or release of tension from the Earth's constant underground transition. The gene company 23andMe suffers a data leak and a lawsuit from its customers. According to Tucker Carlson, oil comes from natural processes within the earth, not from rotting plants and dinosaurs. Was the Great Pyramid of Giza a power plant? Asks Paul A. Phillips. It is in a place where natural electromagnetic forces can be amplified, and it has been found that telluric currents are at their strongest. What do the millionaires who are preparing for Judgment Day know? Asks Daisy Luther. They know something is coming, just like we do, but we don't know exactly what it is. It's not every day that construction workers are required to sign confidential agreements, but all the bricklayers at Mark Zuckerberg's underground bunker on a remote Hawaiian island have been asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement and swear the secret. We should pay attention when all the billionaires prepare for the end of the world. Economy. The World Bank predicts a downward trend in the economy by 2024. The World Bank warns of a rise in energy price if the conflict in Gaza continues. The US resumes importing oil from Russia after a pause of a year and a half. According to Trump, in quotes, the world is on fire and we are going to a world war. Americas. Mexico, China, and Russia were the only countries where salaries increased during 2023. Argentina removes the controversial article on public meetings from the Omnibus Law. Argentina's main banking union rejects the privatization of public banks. The IMF announces a new agreement with Argentina to renegotiate its debt. Wipe of violence in Ecuador. Formal declaration of internal armed conflict. Brazil and Colombia support South Africa's lawsuit against Israel. Trade between Brazil and Russia soars by 80% in December. The Chinese yuan is getting closer and closer to Bolivia. Reflections. According to Marilyn Whitefeather, when I went out into the street in 81, I found a hat in the gutter and a poet's crown. I felt kisses from pieces of wire and snail tears. Where where have I been all these years? I saw political intrigue, political lies. I am going to wipe that self-satisfied smile from their eyes. Cosmic Elucidations of the Current Era by Bennett Ross. To attract more positive experience, touch the magical power within you and unleash your inner magic. Release a free print to the world by choosing loving words and watch love appear throughout your daily life. What you say can change the world in an impressive way. It's like waving a magic wand and crafting the most beautiful life you've ever dreamed of. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Eh, Speak with a lot of faith and optimism. The magical state of the heart is a special way of seeing and feeling. When you wake it up, you are immerse yourself in a wonderful group of possibilities. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.